Hello and welcome to Merryweather Knitting. My name is Gabriella and I'm coming to you from my home in Germany, where I'm so excited to chat with you today about knitting and crafting and all of my recent projects, all of the things I've been making and inspired by creatively. It's been quite some time since I sat down to record a video. We just got back a few days ago now from the United States, where I was for the third time this year. Miraculously, it's really crazy. I've never traveled so much. I know some people travel or have traveled much in their life, and I feel like I've done a lot of traveling too, in general, because I live in a different country than my kind of home country, and my family, I have family members, my mother, my grandparents, aunts and uncles who have immigrated or moved from all over the world or all over different countries. That we spent a lot of time moving when I was a child in the United States. But I mean, I don't think I've ever traveled this much in 1 year. It's been an adventure. It's been amazing. But I had a very good reason for going to the States, and that was that my younger sister was getting married. I am the oldest of 6 children, and the 4th child, so my 3rd sister, we're 4 girls. Actually, we're 5 girls, and then we have my mother had a boy, a son. The youngest is a boy. But there were 4 of us who are older, and then there are 2 who are younger. And so of the 5 girls, it was number 4 who got married, and she just had the most gorgeous wedding. It was so beautiful. It was so special to be there. I had the honor of being a bridesmaid, and Esmeralda, my little 1.5-year-old, was a flower girl, which was just an absolute thrill for her. Everything was thrilling for her except the actual moment of the wedding, where she was supposed to walk down the aisle and distribute the flowers and put the flowers down the aisle. She was a little bit unsure of that, but thankfully she had her auntie Chloe, she's now 12. She held her hand and she kind of had to pick her up halfway down the aisle and help her along and help her kind of distribute the flowers, because Esmeralda wasn't so sure about walking down the aisle with all those people. It was a very intimate wedding in my mom's garden, but it was just so gorgeous. My mom had made the most beautiful kind of displays, and I don't know what you could say, kind of arches with fabric and flowers and silk flowers, and she just made the garden look so beautiful, and it was so much fun to be there and to help prepare a little bit, and then to kind of be part of the event, and then to kind of clean up afterwards and do all those kinds of things. It was such a joy and a privilege to be able to be there, so I was so thankful. And I also did the flowers for the wedding, which was so much fun and such an honor, because I used to be a florist professionally. I had done an apprenticeship to be a florist and got to different kind of floral schools and got different training and worked in flower shops for a few years before I moved to Germany. That was kind of my thing for a while, and I really enjoyed it and I loved it, and I loved floral design, and I still do, but I don't get the chance to do much kind of floral arranging, floral design now that I don't work in the industry. I love to make bouquets for myself, and I often have fresh flowers most of the time. Right now we don't have very many, but I usually have a bouquet or 2 of fresh flowers in our home, because I love fresh cut flowers. I just think they add so much life into a home, and they don't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be big, but even just a couple of fresh stems, or even just greenery, a couple of, even just herbs can be made into a design, or vegetables. I love to put vegetables in a vase. Certain vegetables can be kept, celery or even lettuce, keep well with a little bit of water on the counter, and sometimes I kind of use that as an arrangement because I just love fresh life. And also, plants are wonderful. I have some plants, although I feel like I have very few. I have a nice plant right here by the window, actually 2 right now, because one of them I had to kind of prune down, and she's kind of getting revitalized by the sunshine here. And I have a cactus, but I don't have that many in this room, so I always feel like I need to have something maybe behind me, something green. And plants are wonderful, but I do hold a special place in my heart for fresh cut flowers and freshly designed flowers. But anyway, all that to say, besides my own personal home floral use, bouquets, I rarely get to do designing, so it was so much fun to do the bridal bouquets and do a little bit of arranging. We had yeah, kind of just flowers we just got the day before. A neighbor and a good friend of my mom, and also my aunt, brought over beautiful hydrangeas from their garden, like garden hydrangeas that were just out of this world, stunning. And they made the bouquet. And then, yeah, we had all kinds of just little bits and bobs from the garden, but also bought, that we kind of combined. And we actually also combined a couple of kind of fake flowers. Yeah, they weren't silk flowers. They were like these kind of fake flowers that we found at TJ Maxx, which if you are in Europe, I don't know if all of Europe, but I think the UK and definitely in Germany, there's TK Maxx, which is kind of the same thing as TJ Maxx in the States. We found these kind of stems of these kind of fake flowers that were made out of a unique material. I had never seen flowers made out of that before, but they were beautiful and they looked like silk flowers. And we kind of used those as kind of focal point flowers, and it was just so much fun. My sister's bouquet was gorgeous. I loved it. It was wonderful. And we made the little corsages and the boutonnieres as well, which was just so much fun. So yeah, all that was a blast. Yeah, it was outdoors in the garden, like I said, so we had amazing weather. There was amazing weather on that day. Honestly, my mom lives in kind of the Midwest, and in the Midwest, I feel like it's hit or miss at this time of year. I've had years where it's been super cold, but this year it was so warm. It was almost like summer feeling, summer vibes there. When I came back to Germany, I was shocked at how cold it is and how cold it was while I was gone. It's very much the autumn season right now. The leaves are in their full, lustrous, fiery, flaming glory with reds and yellows and golds and greens, and it's just beautiful outside. But in the Midwest where my mom lives, it wasn't like that yet when I was there. But anyway, so all that to say, we had an amazing trip. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed it, and I even brought something back from the States, yarn related, which was, hadn't expected to do that at the beginning, but I got to because I did a yarn swap with a very lovely good friend of mine who's also a podcaster, November Woods, Alexandra of November Woods. So I will share that with you later on in the podcast. I'm really excited because I have some beautiful yarn and plans to share with you. And I also have a book which I got in the States, a knitting related book, which I am just thrilled about. But I think I'll start first about the knitting, and then I'll talk later about kind of my acquisitions, my little acquisitions, and my little works in progress. It's been a while since I've shared with you, but seeing this pile here, I feel like it's not that huge amount of knitting. I think it's because one of these things is something that took a lot of like work and intensity and, tearing back and things like that. So anyway, I'm going to move on now to the knitting section. I hope you'll get cozy. I have a cup of tea with me right now in this lovely mug. And it's kind of with milk, which is something I don't do that much. But actually when I was in the States, I kind of got into having like a tea latte, because I drink black tea kind of rarely here. But my mom had this lovely, just really nice black tea. I don't remember what kind it was specifically, but it was a lovely blend, and she had this amazing coconut milk, which was so creamy and somehow like kind of like just purely coconut milk. Like it wasn't like a coconut milk in the can. It was like, the kind that you drink, you put in things. I don't know. You know what I mean. I think you can imagine what I mean. And it just was so delicious to make a cup of this black tea, like darkly brewed, like brewed for an extra long time, and then putting some coconut milk in there was just an absolute treat. So I've kind of been doing that here and there now that I've been back, which it just feels like something special when you don't have that many kind of milk related drinks. I don't know. I'm not a big latte person or anything like that. My sisters are huge into like those kind of lattes, delicious syrups and foam and iced coffee and all kinds of things like that, but I don't get into that as much. But this is kind of my version. So anyway, I hope you have something delicious to drink, and that you will maybe have something to knit or to work on. I also have a non-knitting related craft to show you, but I'm going to start with knitting. I'm going to start with the finished object I have to show you. And this project is one that I am so thrilled to share with you. This is the project I brought with me on my trip. And I brought another one with me as well, which I didn't end up working on because the whole time I was gone, I was focused really solely on this. It took some work, it took some ripping back, it took some kind of adjustments here and there. So it took the whole time, but this is my very first design, the very first object that I've completely designed myself and written down the process of. You know, I've kind of improvised things before. I've improvised kind of sock patterns, improvised shawl patterns, or different kinds of things, you know, here and there I've kind of improvised or modified, but something that I completely started and finished and wrote down and recorded myself. This is the very first of those projects, and I'm planning on releasing this as well. By the time you watch this video, this pattern will probably be in testing, so we'll be being tested by test knitters, and hopefully in a couple of months I'll be able to share the finished pattern with you. But I'm going to show you my proper prototype kind of finished sample. I want to say sample, but the finished pattern has a couple of tweaks, and I made a couple of small little like things in this which makes it feel like it's still a prototype, but it is my official sample, I guess. And that is this shawl right here, and this shawl is called the Calville Shawl. I am just so proud of it and so excited about it. As you can see, it's a simple triangular shaped shawl, which I love the triangular shape. When I was first kind of designing, oh no, look at that little tiny end. That's pretty shameful. But you can see when I was kind of designing this first and sketching out ideas, I really thought about shapes, and I realized I just wanted a big triangular shawl because there's something that's so romantic about a triangular shawl, something that's so timeless and cozy and elegant about this shape. I love wearing the shape of shawl. I love wearing it draped over my shoulders, and I love to wear it around my neck. Like, I'm really someone who I'm a shawl person who likes to wear shawls like this at home, because I just think it's the perfect thing, you know, when you're at home in the morning and it's cool to like wrap yourself up in a cozy shawl, to you know, just have this extra little layer. And the yarn with which this was knit just adds such a cozy, luxurious feeling to wearing this. I like to wear shawls with dresses too, and right now I've like enjoyed wearing and having dresses that have kind of like little puffed sleeves. And right now I know that a lot of tops have kind of puffed sleeves or bigger sleeves, and I feel like a shawl is a nice alternative to a cardigan or another kind of pullover or something, because you don't kind of have to deal with putting those sleeves in. So it's been perfect for this time of year, and since getting home I've wrapped it up around me pretty much every single day, like every morning. And then, you know, it's been chilly out, so when I go out I just love to wrap it up as you do, like this. It's cozy, just a cozy big shawl, triangular shawl. I think this is so warm, and when you wear a big coat over, I have like a kind of like a lapelled kind of wool coat. When I wear that, I think it looks really chic and really lovely and really cozy, and this yarn is just gorgeous. I love this pattern. So the Calville Shawl is knit out of Juniper Moon Yarns Harriet yarn, which is a DK base in the shade Buckwheat. This is the shade Buckwheat. I know I don't think it's always that easy to find the same exact shade in Juniper Moon Yarns Harriet. I've looked around and I've had trouble finding this exact same shade, but they have all of the shades of that yarn line are stunning, and honestly any DK weight yarn could be used for this pattern, of course. What I love about this yarn though is that it is 100% baby alpaca, and I love alpaca. I love the feeling of alpaca. I think it's just so luxurious and soft and squishy, and it has this light halo. I think you might be able to see it because it's just this very soft, beautiful yarn. And it drapes so wonderfully. Like, look at how it hangs there. If I just hold it up, it drapes so wonderfully. And alpaca, the fiber itself, has that quality which I think makes it perfect for shawls, for accessories in general. Even, you know, sometimes things that, you know, 100% alpaca isn't always, you know, depending on what you want, the best for maybe like a garment or like a hat or something that needs memory or needs to have, you know, ribbing to hold onto your head or have, you know, to keep its shape well, like wool has that memory. Alpaca doesn't have that as much. So I, you know, in the past choosing yarns, I wasn't so sure, you know, what do I want to use it for, but if this is the perfect thing to use it for, an accessory. Accessories are just wonderful. And of course now there are amazing mixes of wool and alpaca, which you can use for all kinds of things and that have that memory from wool, but also the softness of alpaca. But this 100% alpaca is just out of this world, over the moon, soft, and just so wonderful. So this can be knit in any DK weight yarn, but I bought that juniper moon yarn and I just knew it needed to be belong to a special pattern. So I'm very excited to have found its place, found the place where it belongs in this shawl. This shawl is kind of consisting of 3 different sections. This first section, which is a very lovely mossy stitched section, kind of entering into the walk of the shawl, the walk through the shawl. And then there's this beautiful lattice, kind of lightly cabled, twisted stitch kind of design here, which takes you further through the walk. And then at the end there is this beautiful little section of little flowers. There are larger flowers at the ends and at the corners, and then there are little tiny, just simple lace flowers all along. Then it goes back to moss. And in between each section, there are beautiful horizontal braids, which are a lot of fun. So I really, really enjoyed knitting this, really enjoyed designing it, and I'm so incredibly happy and thankful for the results, and that I have this beautiful piece that I'm going to be wearing and I've been loving wearing lately. So I can't wait to share that pattern with you when I finally finish it. I will keep you up to date on that, of course. But yeah, this has just been so much fun, and the reason why it's called the Calville Shawl, it was hard for me to decide on a name because my original inspiration was kind of like I wanted a fairy tale, beautiful, kind of Sleeping Beauty shawl, and then my husband and I have this place where we like to go, and it's a ruins. It's called Toden, and it's a place which is like this old ruins of a little small community and a small church from, I think, the year 900 or 1100. It had already been there for a while, so I think it started in the year 900. I'm not quite sure, but it's just these beautiful ruins, and we take a drive there and we kind of have to go down these like winding little roads, and then we take a walk and we finally get to these ruins. And a lot of castles and a lot of kind of places are well known and well kept, but this place is really kind of a treasure, a hidden treasure, and it is like an official place. It has, it's like an official landmark place, but it is such a hidden gem. We've never gone there and encountered anyone else. It's just very quiet and very peaceful, and it's overgrown, and there are these gates which are kind of like overgrown and falling, crumbling stone, stone walls, and beautiful old stone carvings too. In where the church was, the church is kind of fallen, but there are pieces that are still there and that still remain, and it's so beautiful to go there and to just be there in this beautiful place and to walk through it. And so there I was inspired, and I thought I want to kind of create a shawl which carries this atmosphere. There are these moss-covered stones and walls, and then I just like the idea of kind of a lattice, kind of something that was weaving and winding, like there are lots of vines and just wildness, but I wanted to keep structure too, because those ruins kind of maintain this beautiful stone ancient structure that, after centuries they still stand there. So I wanted to kind of bring that into the design. And we'd gone there in springtime, and there were lots of little tiny snowdrop flowers, just an abundance of snowdrops all over. So I loved those wild growing snowdrops, and at that time Esmeralda was just crawling, and she just crawled among the snowdrops, and it was so lovely. So I kind of wanted to take that atmosphere and put it into a shawl. And as I knit, I had that with me, and in this mossy part and in this kind of lattice, the structure and also the braids kind of bringing that structure in with that wildness. But as I knit, I couldn't help in this beautiful buckwheat shade thinking about apple pie. I know that that's, not like the same, but I started thinking of apple pie because I have it's that time of year. I just thought about like latticed apple pie crusts when I was knitting this, and it made me think of like that delicious buttery soft, apple pie or just pie crust. And then that made me feel like this kind of other side of the fairy tale vibe, which is like Hansel and Gretel, gingerbread house. And that just gave me such a nostalgic, wonderful feeling as I knit this as well. So that whole kind of vibe came into it. And in the end, I thought about it and I decided to name this shawl Calville because the Calville apple is a beautiful, gorgeous, delicious French dessert apple. And it looks beautiful and it tastes divine. And I just love it. And it's good for baking and it's good for all kinds of things. If you've ever had a Calville apple before, you'll know, or if you've cooked with it, or maybe you have an Calville apple tree in your garden. I mean, that would be amazing. But I decided to kind of name it after that kind of apple because I think apples in general are very fairy tale. It kind of brings in that wildness, but also that kind of delicious buttery pie crust feeling. I don't know. That's my process behind the naming of this shawl. It was a treasure to name this shawl, just as it was a treasure to design it and to knit it. I hope that if you're interested, that when the time comes, you will knit it too, and that you will have that same wonderful, romantic, glorious experience knitting it. But anyway, that's a lot. All that to talk about my shawl, but it's my very first design, so I'm really excited about it and really thrilled about it. But I'd love to hear what you think, if you kind of understand my vision and if you see it when you look at the shawl. Maybe now it's attached to it now that I've told you. But anyway, that's my finished object, that's my first project, and yeah, I'm very, very proud of this shawl. So the next thing I have to share with you is actually going to be a kind of almost finished object, and one that's been in this world of my podcast for ages and ages, and honestly, this pattern does not need to be such a long, slow knit. It could be a much quicker knit, but I've knit so many things in between that it's ended up taking some time, and I've enjoyed every stitch and every part of the process, so I don't really mind that it's taken a while. But it's coming to the end of this project. Hopefully next time I can show you maybe the finished object, we'll see. Pretty much any minute I get to knit on this Elizabeth I. I'm really excited. So this is the Elizabeth I, and today I'm going to show you the fact that I have all 4 pieces of this pattern finished. Now it doesn't mean it's done. I don't just have seaming left. I have seaming, and I also have a neckband to knit. So I'm going to attach some of the pieces and then knit the neckband. Then it'll be finished after I seam it and press it and complete it. But I've blocked each single piece. I have 2 arms. This is 1 sleeve. Done. I'm gonna hang it up here carefully over the back of this chair. So I have 1 arm, then I have a body piece, 2. This is just incredible. I'm so excited to have each piece done. This 3rd one, the other body, and then the last sleeve. There we go, I'm so excited. So 4 pieces finished and blocked. They were just, I blocked them the same way I blocked the swatch that I knit, and also the same way that Alice Starmore suggests. This is the Elizabeth I pattern by Alice Starmore from her Tudor Roses book, which I've spoken much about, but this is a part of the Tudor Rose knit along that I've been hosting along with 2 other podcasters, Bella of 100 Acre Wool and Sophie of Becca Creations, since the beginning of 2021. It's a knit along which goes the whole year of 2021, and which you can still join in on if you want to. There's still time. I mean, you could knit this pattern 100% in the next couple of months. It doesn't need to take as long as it's taken me, but I really enjoyed taking it slow, and I'm going to be jumping right onto my next Tudor Roses project when this is done, I think. That's one reason why I'm really excited to have it finished, to go to the next Tudor Roses project and just let that next project take me months and months, because I've loved having a long-term garment project on the needles. So blocking it, I blocked it, I pinned it out to the correct measurements, which was, didn't take much pulling. It was pretty simple. They were almost correct. I just had to kind of unroll the little rolled edges and lightly pull it out and then pin it. And then in the book it says to just lay wet towels on top and let them dry. I did lightly go over the wet towels with an iron to steam it a bit, and then I let them dry after that. Which, that steaming method I also learned from Alice Starmore as well. I think in another book of hers, which I had from the library. I think it might have been the Erin Knitting book, but I'm not 100% sure. I know I also watched a Instagram live from Marie Wallen, the knitwear designer, and she also spoke about blocking and kind of steam blocking with an iron as well, which was just amazing and groundbreaking for me when I learned about that. it was amazing. So yeah, that's my first kind of work in progress, which is almost finished, so close to being finished. So on my needles at the moment, I also have my Shawlography knitting pattern, which is Stephen West's Mystery Shawl Knit Along from this year, 2021. You've probably seen it a lot if you're on Instagram in the knitting community at all, or even on YouTube. Lots and lots of people are knitting this pattern right now. And so you've probably seen it or heard about it or know about it already, but I'm going to join into that and show you mine and share it with you. It is a mystery knit along, so I'm going to put a timestamp here, and there will also be time codes below. You can click on the time code in the description box or below to skip over the part where I show the shawl, and I will give you a warning. I'm going to show it to you in a moment. Before I show it to you though, I'll tell you I've been using yarn, which I mentioned in my previous podcast episode. I'm using kind of more affordable yarn for this pattern. I wasn't expecting to knit this pattern. I kind of just decided spontaneously to do so, and because I'm on a budget and because I have other projects that I want to, knit, I went ahead and got some affordable yarn, which is 100% acrylic yarn. And I don't knit with that much acrylic, but I've been so happy with my choice and really enjoying the process so far. I'm really loving this yarn. I think it's so great. It fits the pattern really well. Like the colors I chose, I really think that they were good choices for this pattern. And I chose Christmas colors as well, which I also mentioned previously, but I chose kind of green, red, and then like neutrals, white, brown, and beige. I need 5 different colors, 500 gram skeins. And honestly, like, I'm just loving it. They're kind of, solid colors, except for one which has like light little bits of tweed in it, which you'll see. But I'm loving the solid combination. I'm loving the way it's knitting. This acrylic yarn, which is from Wollboot. This is their Versailles yarn. It's knitting up wonderfully, so I'm really pleased with it. I'm really enjoying the process. So now I'm going to show you what I have so far. If you're not interested in seeing it yet, stop watching now and click the timestamp. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now I'm going to share it with you. I can't count apparently with my hands at the same time. So here it is, my Shawlography, my Mystery Knit Along 2021. Here is what I have so far. Now, as you can see, I don't have very much so far. I had to start a little bit late because the knit along had just begun while I was in the States still, and then a few days later I got back, and it took me a couple of days to then re-engage and like join in, because I just didn't have the energy when I first got here. So I've only been knitting on this for a little while, but I've really enjoyed this process. I'm amazed at it. I'm floored by it. I have not been disappointed by Stephen West's designing. I think it's just a very fun, very engaging pattern and project. And I think it's one that I'm going to just really enjoy knitting all along. So I have Clue 1, not even finished yet, even though Clue 2 has been released as I record this. I have knit this kind of first section 1, section 2, and I've started the section 3 slip stitch V parts. And I've been watching, like, honestly, I'm looking at the spoilers. I'm so excited to look at the spoilers. I'm not keeping it a complete mystery for myself, which maybe isn't that cool, but I can always decide if I don't want to see the next clue. But I've been really enjoying seeing people's progresses and seeing how it's going to look, and kind of envisioning my kind of colors being in those different places, and it makes me even more excited to knit on this project, quite honestly. So yeah, first these little ones, you can see I chose for my color B, which is the one that's going to kind of guide through section 1. I've chosen this cream, lightly tweedy colored yarn, which is actually not 100% acrylic. That one has a little bit of cotton content, but it's also very soft. And then my color A is this red, color C is green, which I think is cool because these little V's kind of look like little Christmas trees in my mind, going up with the little stripe. Yeah, I'm so excited about it and so just enjoying it so much. I can't wait to see it progress. I also think, honestly, this project I'm going to not rush myself on. I think Stephen West has this great saying. I think it's something like, it's not a race, embrace your own pace, or something like that, which I love and I totally agree with and I'm totally on board with, because I'm knitting this in Christmas colors. I'm gonna let this shawl just take me. I'm gonna savor it all throughout this autumn, winter, early winter kind of time. I'm gonna enjoy it. I really can't wait to knit on it in the Advent time. I hope I still have knitting to do on it in that time. Probably I will. And if not, I'll wear it in that time. But yeah, depending on how much gusto I have, how much I want to knit. I mean, it's 500 grams of yarn, so I'm sure I'll have plenty of knitting ahead of me. And I'm just gonna enjoy knitting on this whole season because the colors really bring me a lot of joy, and I think this is going to be a project that I'm going to cherish for years as I bring it out every Christmas. I don't have any knitting piece like that I just bring out for a specific holiday. I don't have any like holiday specific knitting projects, knitting accessories or garments. So this is something really special for me, and I'm really excited about it. I think, you know, if I wear it, it's going to be fun, but even more than wearing, I think it's going to be fun to have kind of draped over the chair, kind of as a piece of Christmassy holiday decor. So that's fun. This is my Shawlography. The Shawlography is gone. You are safe if you don't want to be spoiled. Those are my works in progress and my finished object. I have another work in progress, the Ova Vintring Mini Pullover, which I've knitted a couple of rows on the past couple of days, but don't have very much progress, so I'll share with you next week. I'm really enjoying that little pullover project as well. But the last thing I have to share with you is my acquisitions, and I'm going to share that with you right now because I'm really excited about them. I was really thrilled about these. So I was very blessed and excited to receive some yarn from my good friend Alexandra of the November Woods Fiber Company and November Woods podcast. She is a yarn dyer who dyes her yarns all using natural and botanical yarn dyes and historical dyeing methods, which is just so thrilling. And if you know me, you know that kind of thing is just right up my alley. I love that kind of getting back to our roots, historical and also natural approach to creation and creativity, and also yarn production. She has a very amazing kind of yarn maker's ethic. I don't know how you would say that, kind of just like she has amazing values that she applies and uses in her art and in her business, which I really appreciate and really love. But I wanted to send her a little package of some wool wash I had, and I thought maybe there's something that she would like, I could send her from the European yarn world that she would enjoy. So I sent her a couple of little things, and she sent me some of her gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. And when I opened up this package, I was just, my jaw dropped because of how gorgeous this yarn is. There they are, these beautiful skeins of yarn. She sent me 2 of her Foxtrot yarn. This is the Foxtrot colorway. This is on her birch base, which I think is discontinued, but she's coming out with another similar base soon, she said. This base is, I believe, 100% merino. It's so gorgeous and soft, and this colorway is just so beautiful and subtle and lovely. I think it's a beautiful neutral, and when I saw it, I couldn't stop thinking about all the possibilities for this yarn. How amazing would this be to be able to like knit up into any number of things. I thought I could knit this up, I could incorporate this in like a sweater, or like a little kind of mini little cardigan, or a shawl, or there's just endless possibilities with this gorgeous yarn. But I think I know at least one thing or 2 things that I'm going to use this for already. I'm pretty convinced and pretty excited about them. But yeah, this is the Foxtrot colorway. Oh, it's so beautiful, and I hope it shows up accurate on camera. Her website has very accurate photos, so you can see what kind of they look like. She has really great photos on her website, and she has pretty regular shop updates as well, so you can probably snag a skein if you're interested as well. This is just a gorgeous yarn, and it feels gorgeous, and it comes gorgeously packaged. I so appreciate you, Alexandra. And then she also sent me this amazing little treat, which is her Lighthouse Keeper mini skein set. Honestly, I was just amazed when I saw this, because I had been admiring this mini skein set so much all the way from Germany. When she first came out with this mini skein set, I was just so thrilled. The story that she kind of tells behind this mini skein set and the picture that she paints with them is just so gorgeous. If you kind of just think of the Lighthouse Keeper, it has all of these different shades that kind of reflect her life. These kind of sandy colors, and then these beautiful soft pink tones, like the little wildflowers that grow at the foot of the lighthouse, and this beautiful blue. Oh my gosh. And I think recently she said the kind of gold, like the golden sunrise. I think it's so beautiful. I love this color story. It's just gorgeous. And she sent this beautiful stitch marker as well along with it, which I'm so excited about. Oh, it's just such a treat and so, so beautiful. And I think that the combination of this yarn with these mini skeins is going to make something really beautiful. I think I'm going to combine all of these together and do something color work related. I'm pretty sure, quite convinced that I'm going to do something, color work related, although you can never be sure until you cast on or until you finish the project altogether, because there's just endless inspiration to be found in this combination. As of right now, I think there may be a couple of these mini skein sets left in her shop, so do take a look if you are as enraptured by them as I am. But I want to show you the last thing, which this goes along with these beautiful yarns from Alexandra, and that is this book that I picked up in the States as well. I picked it up secondhand, and I was really excited to find it and really excited to take it home and to read it. I have pretty much read through this whole book now, at least one time. I keep looking back and referencing it and reading it cover to cover, because I just really like the writer, and I love the way that she tells her story and the way she talks about it. And this book is called Knitted Tams by Mary Rowe, and it's an older book. Mary Rowe has 2 books that are similarly titled. This is Knitted Tams, but she also has a book called Knitting Tams, I think. And researching, I wasn't sure which one I had at the beginning, but then I figured it out. And I'm really happy I got this one, although the other one looks amazing too. This book is kind of a guidebook on how to design your very own knitted tams, which tams are these specific hat styles, which are kind of traditional, almost beret-like hats, and they're often colorwork, but not always. And this book kind of is a guidebook on how to kind of create your own designs from the ground up, and also a little bit of a history of tams and these kind of hats, and where they came from, and how they're knit, and all these kinds of things. And since reading this book, I've been just so inspired and so into these tams. I'm obsessed with them right now. And obviously, if you see that color work, it's so fitting for this exact yarn combination. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to make one of these, and this is going to be the most gorgeous Lighthouse Keeper inspired tam design ever. I'm just so excited about it. So I'm gonna get started on those soon, I think. Just making my own little tam hat design using these gorgeous yarns from November Woods. And then also Knitting Tams, Mary Rowe's other book, is more of a pattern book, a traditional pattern book, but she has stunning tam designs in those books. I've seen them on Ravelry, the pictures of those designs. And maybe I'd one day want to pick out that book as well, because those colorworks designs and those little hats look beautiful. So in here, these ones do too. You can just see on the cover, they're beautiful. There are a couple of patterns in this book. I think that there are patterns for these 4 at least in this book, but it's more of a guidebook on designing your very own hats. So yeah, it's really fun. I'm really excited about this, and I can't wait to try knitting one myself and maybe share that with you as well in the future. I think that's all I have to share with you this week, crafting and knitting related. I feel totally I just kind of very jumbled. I just shared with you a ton of things. I hope that it made sense. Yeah. I'm wearing my vest, my everyday vest. No, my vest number 2 or something. This is by My Favorite Things. And it's just a very fun, big, oversized, chunky Aran weight vest. That was a quick, fun knit earlier in the spring. And I've really loved wearing it this time of year because it keeps you nice and warm when it's not super, super cold out. But you need an extra warm layer. And this is knit out of West Yorkshire Spinners Jacob's Aran yarn. So it's really nice and very warm. But anyway, I have so enjoyed catching up with you. I'd love to hear what you're up to, what you've been making, what you've been doing, what you've been inspired by creatively. I will return to you again soon, next week hopefully, for another podcast episode. Until then, I wish you all the best. You can find me on Instagram as Merryweather Knitting, as well as on Ravelry as gabriellak. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye.